Hello and welcome back to the Sidescape Gaming Podcast, episode 122. I'm your host, Jake Burke, and joined as always by James St. Charles and Ted Libby. James, how you doing?
Doing good. How about you?
Good, because we had some hot news today, James.
Oh, I know.
Some hot news right off the press. There was a Nintendo Direct today. It was 40 minutes, and it was a Nintendo Direct in all sorts of it. That means there was a lot of good and a lot of just useless blah. You know? Does anyone you want to talk about Splatoon 3's DLC?
Already?
Is Splatoon 3 out?
Yeah.
Okay. I was wondering about that.
Some Game of the Year award. I can't remember.
I think best family game or something, or
Best multiplayer.
best multiplayer. Probably
It might have won best multiplayer.
It actually might have.
It won something that it should have.
No, it shouldn't have won anything. The Inklings. Some big announcements and some meh announcements. Now, Ted, you wanted to talk about this. Did you watch the Nintendo Direct or just like the news updates? Okay.
I got the news updates live from a couple sources. You included, yeah.
My favorite, I was giving the live updates. My favorite thing about the Nintendo Direct this time was like it would end with like someone else just narrating what had just been shown in the trailer. It would end and just like it would pop up with like one of the Nintendo like representatives, and he was like, and yeah, so like Splatoon 3 looks pretty cool, huh? Like DLCs, and there's 2 packs, and they're coming out the dates we just told you they're gonna come out those dates. Like,
wasn't that like voiceover voice? That's
no.
And here we have like.
No, it didn't. It was like some host of it. It was very interesting.
Up next.
Yeah, so they announced some cool things. I was texting Ted. The Nintendo Switch Online has expanded to now have Game Boy games. So like traditional Game Boy games.
Do we know what price tier this is going to be
is the
at?
price still the same?
Okay, this is for just Nintendo Online, the Game Boy games. But the Game Boy expansion pack, which has N64 games. James, you look confused. You're not following this? There's a Nintendo Switch Online?
Is there you gotta give me the PlayStation system. Is there a plus and then
so there's like plus, ultra plus, and then
Gotcha.
plus.
No. There's a standard tier of Nintendo Online.
What's the
you
premier tier?
That has
this next one.
There is a standard tier of Nintendo Online, and that has, you said, the Game Boy?
Yeah, so then the standard thing is just to play like online games like Smash Bros, and then you get like I think Nintendo, the NES, and then Game Boy games now on it.
NES, SNES, and Game Boy.
Okay, so then
does that include Game Boy Advance?
No.
Okay.
That's in the expansion pack one.
Okay. In the expansion pack, we have N64 and Game Boy Advanced. Okay.
Okay, is that the one that's like $100 a year?
Yeah, and you get like all the DLC from Mario Kart and Animal Crossing and stuff.
That's what I pay for.
Okay, that's what I pay for too.
That's it. I just want to know.
I mean, the regular one is like $7 every 4 months. It's insane.
Yeah, well, I'm on like a family pack with Hunter and like 4 other people.
You told me about this.
We only pay like $20 a year each.
It's just me and my sister, and I think her. Yeah, my brother-in-law.
So they announced that the lineup was pretty cool. Do you have that lineup, Ted, of Game Boy games?
Yeah, it's not in any kind of order. Oh, I don't have the Game Boy games.
Oh,
no.
okay.
I saw a couple of them.
Tetris was one.
Yeah.
Super Mario, the 7 Stars or whatever that one is that I've
yeah.
Oh, it's a great game.
Yeah,
great game.
Mario Land. Original Link's Awakening, which was in both. James, you can play them in 3 different styles, like old Game Boy graphics, like the blue, or like the bluey green. Then you could do the black and white, and then you can do the Game Boy Color, like
for Game Boy.
Yeah.
Cool. I like that.
That's pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Let me.
Did any of you guys have a Game Boy? I had a Game Boy Color.
I had a Game Boy with my sister. We shared like.
I started with the Advance.
I had a Color too.
I played the heck out of it.
But then the best thing about the Advance is you can play the Color.
Exactly.
I got the list up here.
Okay, cool. Thank you. I was looking for.
There's a couple that I've never heard of: Gargoyle's Quest, Game and Watch Gallery 3, Alone in the Dark, New Nightmares, Metroid 2, Return of Samus, which is pretty neat.
Yeah.
I'm surprised the remake 3DS.
Of that on.
Yeah, I'm surprised the remake. Maybe that's coming. Wario Land 3 and Kirby's Dream Land.
Wario Land is amazing.
Wario Land's really good.
I think Wario Land 3 is one of the best too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so cool original Game Boy games, and then as you said, that Game Boy Advance edition.
Yeah.
will come with Super Mario Advanced 4, Super Mario Bros. 3, which
that's the title.
Is also that's the title, but that's also a port of Super Mario Bros. 3, which is available on the regular NES.
One.
I'm not sure what's going on there. WarioWare Inc. Mega Micro Games. Kuru Kid.
Yep.
Don't know what that is.
Of course.
Super Mario Kart Super Circuit, which is a great game.
That's actually a really good game. That's
Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga, which is again a great game.
Which is one of the best.
Never played that.
Mario games.
Fantastic soundtrack.
It is fantastic.
Check back to the Side Escape soundtrack episode to hear.
Jake, it is like a game for adults.
Okay.
Like the jokes are so like not kid friendly or.
Okay, so I would like it. I would get something.
Oh, you'd like it. It'd be a fun game.
Yeah, I believe the opening starts with Toad running in on Mario as he's showering.
Nice.
It's hilarious.
Nice.
There are some like really good.
And then finally we have Legend of Zelda: The Minish Cap, which a lot of people are excited for.
Yeah, Link gets real small.
And then there are games to be added in future: Metroid Fusion, Kirby and the Amazing Mirror, Fire Emblem, F-Zero, Maximum Velocity, and Golden Sun.
Yeah, Golden Sun I'm excited about. Yeah, so that was pretty cool. So, and that's available now. Like a lot of those games are available now, and then there are some that are coming later. Notably absent is Pokemon on either of these. There are no Pokemon games coming to this. Except for Pokemon trading card game. They showed that was coming to the Game Boy Color version.
That's the only one I never wanted to play. It was like Pokemon Puzzle and Pokemon trading card game. It was like
I'm excited.
When I was a kid, there was like some family that lived across the street from me, and their mom was like obsessed with Pokemon Puzzle League. Like she played it all the time on N64, just like constantly.
That's awesome.
It was really interesting.
That's the only one I ever played.
Yeah. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, it's cool. It's a pretty small offering compared to what the Game Boy had, but in terms of like first party, I was telling you guys this. In terms of like first party Nintendo games, a lot of Game Boy and Game Boy Advance games are ports.
Yeah.
Especially by the Game Boy Advance, so there isn't too much they can do. Fire Emblem is cool. Golden Sun is cool.
Fire Emblem is really cool. I'm excited to play Fire Emblem, the first one.
Yeah,
Yeah. What I thought was really
Advance Wars would be cool, but actually,
what happened there?
Advance Wars 1 and 2 Reboot Camp is coming April 21st.
Yeah.
Has a release date.
Cool.
I think the art still looks bad, but whatever. Those games are really cool, and I'm excited for it.
Me too. I'm into it. And then you got Metroid Prime Remastered, Ted.
Metroid Prime 1.
Yeah, 1.
Singular. Remastered. Available today for download.
Digitally, but not in stores.
February 22nd is when they start shipping in stores.
Oh, that's very interesting.
Yeah, my roommates and I played the first kind of tutorial island.
Okay.
It's a lot of fun. It's very competent. Both thumbsticks now control your movement and viewing angle, so that's nice. It's not just one stick.
Yeah, that was always a pain.
But they kept the lock on, which just makes it a really easy shooter, and I appreciate that. Yeah, it's really fun. It's widescreen. It's not a port. It's definitely a remaster. And even though it feels like a GameCube game, it holds up very well on the system. On the Switch.
We need more GameCube games.
Yeah,
I agree.
We need
that are. We need more that are Switch. Up version. If that makes sense. We talked about this with like Last of Us. Like you cannot play the original one. The controls just don't work. That's how it is for a lot of GameCube games.
A remaster, James, as opposed to a remake or a port.
Remaster.
Yeah,
also, Jake is upset that you.
I was a little upset that he said that about The Last of Us. It's kind of fucked up.
I said that the PS3 Last of Us does not hold up.
I'll bust up my PS3 right now and start playing The Last of Us.
And play the controls. You'll be like, you know what? I can't really like play the controls.
I'll never say that, James. You can't ever catch me.
All right. We'll wrap this up. A few more. The Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom, formerly known as Breath of the Wild 2, coming out in May.
The sequel to Breath of the Wild.
May 12th is the official release. You can pre-order it now. It's going to be $70.
Yeah, it's going to be 70.
Which I know a lot of people on the internet are upset about it, and I'm kind of I'm in this camp of like the $70 was supposed to be because it's next gen, right? Series X and S games are $70 to pay for that extra graphics. We are not getting extra graphics.
You're paying the Nintendo fee.
Yeah,
here, ladies and gentlemen.
Whatever. It'll be fine.
You're paying for a game you know will be good,
dude.
Yeah.
Here's the deal. Here's the deal. This game's gonna be good. It's probably gonna run at 12 frames a second. That's good. It's still gonna be one of the games. That doesn't.
It's gonna run at 7 frames a second on the OLED.
Yeah,
because it won't be able to handle.
Yeah.
OLEDs.
We're already paying $70 for games. This is the new norm. Games are more expensive.
Yeah,
everything else has gone up in the world.
Paying $70 for games, regardless of if that game looks and feels better. I guess.
But dude, it's inflation. Everything has gone up. Your eggs are going up. So should your video games. They've just, for some reason, the arbitrary cost. If you're a capitalist, Ted, everything goes up.
Yeah, we wouldn't have inflation with capitalism.
No, fucking hardcore. That's what we do, brother. We hold this shit down.
People forget how much.
Sorry, it's not. This is not a news and politics cast.
But anyway, people forgot how much games cost in the 90s and 80s, and when they were like almost 100 for like one game or something.
I think I recall like Super Smash Bros. On the N64 being like 90.
They got cheaper. End of story.
And then they got more expensive to make.
Yeah. You can get all the Game Boy Advance games for free on the internet if you know where to look.
It's true. And eventually you'll be able to
you're not gonna get a free Breath of the Wild.
Apparently there's a Switch emulator that runs better than the actual Switch, which just
I wouldn't be
cherry
surprised,
on top.
But it's definitely you won't get the same feel.
That's okay, we're gonna finish this. We're gonna finish this up here. There's some other stuff that happened. The Dead Cells X Castlevania happened. There's gonna be a Pikmin 4. Disney is doing this.
Wait, the Dead Cells X Castlevania happened? It's out?
It's coming to Switch. They just announced that it would be in Switch. Okay. Yeah. Disney is coming out with this game called Illusion Island, which looks a lot like Rayman Legends.
Yeah, it's like a platformer.
Very much a kid's game. Professor Layton and the New World of Steam, which I'm excited for. Those games are cool. And the next, I don't know if it's the last, Mario Kart expansion will be Yoshi's Island themed.
So more tracks. And Birdo's coming in. Birdo's a new character.
Yep.
Birdo.
James, so question for you. I want to make a bet with you. Do you think what's the odds that Ted plays the new Professor Layton game that he just said he's really excited about?
Low.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, I'm right up there.
Damn it.
Good.
All right. No bet.
Yeah, there's like 9 that you can get for free on the internet if you know where to look. And I don't know if the full price 10th one is going to be worth it.
No.
But people, those are highly revered games, and I'm happy for them.
Yeah.
Also, symbolically, Professor Layton games come out at the end of a Nintendo console's life cycle, so we'll see how that goes.
This is your final time with the Switch.
That's your red flag.
We'll see. No, I think that's a good thing. I think we need a new console from Nintendo because this thing is.
Yeah, but no way in the next year. Probably in the next 2 years, maybe. Like with this chip shortage, there's no way they're pumping out a console right now.
Yeah, and this thing is still selling insane. It just passed PS4.
Wow, that's
huge.
Impressive.
Yeah. All right. Enough about the.
There was other stuff. There was other stuff. It doesn't matter.
But enough about the Nintendo Direct, because this is the 22nd episode of the Sidescape Gaming Podcast, where every Monday morning a new episode goes live on YouTube.com and soon to be Spotify, SoundCloud, Stitcher, everything around the globe. Once we upload a logo into the screen. Once a week, we Discord over 500 miles, talk about a gaming-related topic and what games we are playing. This week, we're reviewing Dead Cells. Dead Space. Dead Space. Awkward. Cut. Redo the podcast. All right, let's talk about this Nintendo Direct, Ted. So we're reviewing Dead Space, the remake that just came out on pretty much everything. I think it's even on. Can you get it on the Switch? I think you can.
Nope.
I think this came to the Switch.
Nope.
Yeah, I think you stream it in the cloud Switch game.
Nope.
No. Okay. So it's not on the Switch. So we all played Dead Cells. Nope. Dead Space. Fuck. I'm gonna do this so much.
This is not gonna go well.
This is gonna be bad.
No.
Dead Space.
Dead Space.
I want to know remake. Who played Dead Space before the original Dead Space? Did you beat it or what? And then let's talk about the game. But I just want to know quickly. Let's go around there. Ted.
Yeah, I played the original Dead Space on the Xbox back in the day.
Damn.
I think I beat it on hard, and then I tried to do that impossible challenge on the old one and failed. But yeah, I played the old one, played the new one,
and you beat it. You beat it back then and everything, and
yeah, beat it back then, beat it now.
Cool. James,
never played Dead Cells.
Nope, Dead Space.
Swear.
Dead Space.
It's because you said Dead Cells earlier in the episode, Ted, and I was like, damn, they're making a Dead Space.
Yeah, well, and I said Dead Cells too. Yeah. But anyways, I've
so
never
far
played.
This is our game of the year, so treat it with respect.
Yeah. Never played a Dead Space game before. This is my first, and it's basically, to me, and I think to you as well, it's just a Resident Evil, and to me, it reminds me of like a little bit of Gears, because I wish I played Gears and Dead Space back then, because that's kind of like the era when it came out, was all this like blood and gore and stomping on people, and yeah.
Did you beat this? Did you already beat the game, James? The new one?
No.
Okay. Ted, you beat the game?
Yes, sir.
I beat the game. I never played Dead Cells or Dead Space. I
swear.
God, Dead Space. So I never played Dead Space back in the day, but I've played. Ted and I were gonna do a new show for Sidescape during like 2021, and we never did it. Where we went and replayed like an old game, and I played the first hour, like 2 of Dead Space.
Yep.
Dead Space.
Nice.
Yeah. So I beat it. Ted, what did you think of this remake of Dead Space? What are your broad stroke thoughts?
I guess I should say briefly, I never played Dead Space 2 or 3.
Okay.
Okay.
So there was a lot that was different, which I really liked.
Yeah, you were telling me about this. There's a lot of added stuff and changes.
It's a pretty different game. Most remake. I guess some remakes, one for one, just copy exactly what was happened. This is actually very different. They retconned and changed a lot of the original story and the original set pieces to fit in with the story that will continue with Dead Space 2.
And Ted, fill us in. What is Dead Space? Give a broad little blurb about this game. What is this game?
Yes, it is the Xbox 360's answer to the movie Alien. It is literally you are a engineer on a repair ship sent to a giant mining vessel out deep in space. This is the future. USG Ishimura.
Japanese ship.
Yeah, and you get there, and the comms are down, and hijinks ensues. A bunch of monsters have taken over the ship, and you have to fix it.
The necromorphs. Back at it again. So
that's the very basic premise.
Was great. That was great. It's like a horror survival game.
It is a horror survival action game.
Yeah, it's Resident Evil 2 in space.
Yeah. Resident Evil 2 in space.
So what did you think, Ted? What did you think? Do you like the changes? And now, what did you think of the game itself?
So the game itself is it's really pretty. Yeah. I'll say, it's very different in that next generation lighting is now a thing. So it is dark and it is spooky. And
did you play this on?
Xbox Series X.
Okay.
On a fancy TV.
I think we all played on different.
Yeah, you played on PC, right? And I played on PS5.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. We have a whole range of spectrums. Because I'm curious if you had the bugs I had. We'll get to that.
No bugs. Zero bugs.
I had a lot of bugs.
Wow. I had no bugs.
Yeah.
I had a bug with the Xbox system, but that was unrelated to the game.
Here's my one bug before we get to Ted's excitement. My main bug that I encountered almost every time I started up this game. This game has a really cool loading screen where it just loads into your game and you press continue and it goes away from the save point you're at and you're in the game and you're going. Every time that I would do that to start my game up, the camera would be stuck though on the save thing, but I could move Isaac around the room, but the camera wouldn't move with Isaac, my main character, and I would have to keep reloading it until it got an instant where the camera was with Isaac.
Oh my gosh, I did not.
Every time.
I did not experience that bug at all.
And I had to go back and to sometimes certain saves that the camera wasn't like an auto save, so it wasn't on the save thing. It was very annoying.
That's probably has to do with the way the PS5 loading works.
I think so.
And it's like instant, and it's probably that's an easy. What I think about it's probably an easy bug for them to fix.
Yeah, it's gonna be.
It doesn't affect Ted or I because we don't have the super fast loading.
Yeah, you don't have the SSD drop in the PS5.
The SSD. Yeah.
So that sucked every time. Yeah. I'd have to keep reloading, and then I'm like, oh, cool, now I can play the game. And then it wouldn't do it after I fixed it. So anyway, so 10. This game is fantastic.
Yeah. So the where was I? The graphics, the newfound graphics with this HDR and I believe ray tracing. I'm not sure how much ray tracing is actually in it, but the lighting is fantastic. Places on the spaceship that are dark are incredibly dark and spooky. Your flashlight is essential. The flashlight you hold up when you aim is really essential. Which is funny because I was thinking about the old game, which was not like this. This is an Xbox 360 game. We're it's dark, and sure, it's misty.
Gray.
It's
like gray.
It's very gray. But at the end of the day, you could see.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There are times in this game where something they knew that they've added is this power management system where you have to turn off the lights to turn on the door, and when you turn off the lights, you can't see a thing.
No. I know. Those are the worst parts. Either I lose oxygen or I turn off the lights. All right.
I always took the losing oxygen. I was like, fuck it. I'll huff it through this thing.
Yeah. It's better than doing it in darkness. Yeah.
Hell no.
Yeah. No matter what, if you turn off the lights, you're gonna get some sort of monster.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. My it's really interesting because that's new. They've changed up the guns a little bit, which I think is. Ultimately, I think it's a good thing, but I kind of miss the old guns. For you two, the original guns, the plasma rifle and the contact beam, which are two of the most useless guns in the game. They both had these they had these cool AoE effects where you would lift the gun up in front of you and just blast everything around you. totally useless, but it was a fun thing. They have redone a lot of the guns. Everything is more useful to a certain extent.
That was my gun.
I never used the flamethrower.
Flamethrower is the best gun.
It's so
Is it really?
good.
I put that thing in the storage right away. I was like, I hate this thing.
No, flamethrower
is amazing.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
We'll talk about it. But yeah, so I really like the guns have been changed. And they redid a lot of the story, which I'll dig into a little bit before we talk about James's impressions. In the original game, your repair team lands on the ship, and it's you and like 2 other people basically throughout this campaign. One of them is giving you orders to like fix the ship. He's kind of like your captain, and the other is kind of like with you panicking on the side. And they really changed it in this game. In the first game, all you're doing for like the 80% of the game is like just fixing the ship, because the captain guy's like, we have a job, let's just fix the ship and get out of here. I don't care about these monsters that have taken over the crew. Just fix the ship, let's go. And that's kind of the whole plot of the game. In this game, they totally downplay him and incorporate the Dead Space. Like in the Dead Space world, there's this fake religion called Unitology, which is kind of like space Mormonism. And they really incorporate this kind of like space religion into the game, where like a lot of the crew believe that like these aliens are a good thing and believe that this is a religious experience. And so that's much more played up, I think, to incorporate into Dead Space 2.
I couldn't imagine the game without that. It's like really integral to the plot now. It's like that's so surprising that that's not in the game for me.
Yeah, and it's interesting because, like I said, the first game is literally just like you're being told to like just fix the ship and get out of here.
Yeah.
And here it's more like, okay, there's like they picked up this artifact thing, and the religious people are going nuts about it. So that's really interesting. And aside from that, I think they've done a great job of kind of revamping the story. There were twists and turns that I was not ready for, and I think that's
cool,
exciting. Like felt refreshed playing this game again, even though I pretty much remember the original game. It was very cool. I don't want to spoil anything, so I don't want to dig too deep, but it was very fun.
James, I didn't realize how different it is like until Ted like said something, because now I think some of my friends who played all of Dead Space are not inclined to buy this because they think it's just Dead Space 1 again.
Yeah.
So now I probably let them know.
No, they if you from what I'm told, if you have played Dead Space 2, this game will make a lot more sense to you. Okay. Dead Space 2 has a lot of like, do you remember the girl, your wife that you were looking for on the ship? Well, here's her backstory. In the remake, they just add her backstory into the game.
Cool.
So it kind of fills up.
Did you guys get Dead Space 2 with your purchase of Dead Space?
No, that was Steam exclusive.
Oh, sorry about that.
Yeah.
I think it's on.
Never mind. I didn't get that.
It's on Xbox
it is,
Game Pass.
So if you have Xbox Game Pass, you have EA Play.
Yeah.
So you have access to Dead Space 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
James, what'd you think? Your first time playing Dead Space. What did you think of Dead Space?
I think initially, like I was thinking Gears of War, and then more I played, it's definitely Resident Evil 2. But definitely like less like I didn't spend my time avoiding monsters. I tried to kill everything I could, which sometimes was like to my detriment, because one time you run into something and like you're not supposed to kill it, and I didn't realize it, and I waste all my ammo that is like valuable.
I did that.
So I was like, all right, I'm just gonna load scum and save all my ammo and then run away. But
right, I should say that you're in this game. The gimmick, I guess, of shooting monsters is you're not supposed to shoot them. You're supposed to dismember them. So they have these long limbs that kind of arch over and try and grab you, and you're.
Oh, he froze on your screen too. That's a good sign. That means it's not me.
Yeah, it's not you.
Okay,
we all freezing.
You froze.
Lost you a little bit.
But now you're back.
Can you explain it again? What were you saying?
So you're shooting off limbs.
So I should say in Dead Space, all of the creatures have these big long limbs, and you kill them not by shooting them in the head or in the body, but by dismembering their limbs one by one.
Yeah.
So all of your guns, it's pretty funny. They're all just like mining equipment.
They're mining guns, yeah.
Yeah, which is great. Is just they're all focused in different ways on like dismembering people. So you get this crazy, gory, but also kind of a thinker of a shooter.
Well, it's cool because so like the main gun that you get, it's kind of a very iconic now video game gun, but the plasma cutter, which changes directions. You can have it horizontal or vertically, so you're like shooting through their limbs strategically. Of like always keep that thing horizontally at first, shoot out the legs, and switch it to vertically to like shoot out the arms. And like I like that style of like it's not just how many bullets can you put into a guy. It's like where do you have to go to take him out. Yeah.
So Ted, the question I have for you is stasis and controlling objects with gravity, is that also in the original game?
Yes, those are two. Okay. Those are both in the original game.
those are really great things like that. Are like in addition, also
they are really fun toys to play with in this kind of dismemberment.
Yes, game. And then so the game again more Resident Evil. It's based on Resident Evil. The store Resident Evil upgrades, the way you can upgrade some of your how much stuff you can hold.
I will say I ran into a problem in the original game. You just show up at the store at each new level, and there's like new guns for you to buy. And that's how you get guns. In this game, they've changed it to where you have to.
You just find them.
Oh, he keeps dropping.
Yeah, he's having some internet issues.
Okay. Yeah, so you find him at a store, or you find him like in the map now, which I guess I didn't know that was not a change.
I didn't know that, Ted, so I just
keep freezing.
Oh shit!
But no one else is. Yeah, so you didn't know that there's guns that are throughout the map, so you just like missed all these guns.
So I missed all. Gosh, I think there's like 6 guns. Yeah, I missed 4. I missed 4 of them.
Guns?
I beat because I didn't know I needed to look for them because I thought they would just show up in the store. Also, the plasma cutter is kind of the best gun.
Yeah,
but there's like obvious rooms sometimes.
Yeah, so in this game there are locked doors that you unlock by progressing through the game.
Right.
Kind of like a Metroid. It's kind of a loose Metroidvania. Yeah. But they don't do a very good job of saying like you did it. Door 1 is unlocked. So I actually didn't know I was unlocking these doors, and I was just blasting through the game, missing locked doors and missing these guns to where I beat the level 9 out of 12, and I was like, man, where are all the other guns?
All the guns.
So I did some backtracking and went back and found all the guns in the hidden rooms.
That's something great. That's something that you can do in this game.
Yeah,
it's more like Resident Evil.
Yeah, so it's very like you have the whole ship is your like Metroidvania-esque level, or like you're not in the sense where like you need to go back to those rooms to complete things. Like you pretty much are being driven forward through the game. But yeah, there are a lot of things to go back for. There's side quests now, which I know are new to the game.
Yeah, it's interesting. The original game was very much like level 1. We're done. Level 2.
Yeah.
Finish. Level 3. And here they add these little pieces in and out of the levels to kind of stitch together a very light Metroid. Mm-hmm. Very light. Rarely do you need to go back for any reason.
You don't have to be honest.
Yeah.
I just did the power through the story. I finished it in like 11 hours, and I just went straight through.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you don't have to. The side quest system is again added in. It is basically, the character that Isaac's attached to, your like wife or separated girlfriend, something like that, is on this ship, and you're searching for her. And in the other game, that just kind of comes up with the story. But in this game, they make it the separate side quest, which follows the line of the primary quest like exactly. So it's not that big a deal.
You actually get
but
it
is
throughout it.
Technically they call it a side quest, which is really neat.
And there's a few other things, finding like all the people's like data pack things to unlock doors, and
there's audio logs, classic.
A lot of audio logs in this game.
Yeah, there's
2000s era game.
And you know what's really
audio
nice?
logs are great. Text logs,
fucking don't even
please get those out of my sight.
Yeah.
One of the annoying thing with the audio logs is that it would pop up that little like square around you and take up like a third of your screen, and then you're walking down a dark hallway, and it's like, well, I don't want this thing in front of me. Like, I guess I could zoom in, but like, this is dumb.
I was always zoomed in out of pure paranoia.
It's a very spooky game, but I don't think it's overly spooky. It's more tense than like, it's like Resident Evil in that way, James. Like what I love about that.
Yeah, I think for me, Resident Evil is a lot scarier, and I don't know why, but in this game, the music is so telegraphed when you know something's scary because this music is going crazy. Yeah. This violin is just like menacing. In Resident Evil, it's just like you're just normally like walking by, and then something just like rains down on you.
Yeah,
but this one is like music's coming, something's coming, you can hear it coming.
Yeah, and I will say this: what I think this game does well is this game is I don't want to say masterclass, but this game is a really good haunted house kind of a vibe of like, you are going to walk from A to B. You're going to get there. We're going to give you enough ammo to deal with the problems. Yeah. But at random and different points, enemies are going to pop up. Enemies are going to pop up behind you, so you get spooked. Like the jump scares are telegraphed, or not telegraphed, but they present themselves to you really organically, which is cool.
Yeah.
If I may ask, were you guys both playing on medium-ish difficulty?
Yeah, I was playing on the normal,
Because I think a lot of the fear with like a Resident Evil 2 is that like you can just be with no ammo.
Yeah.
and you're just like, I just have to deal with no ammo.
But yeah.
In medium and below, that is not so much an issue.
I always had ammo.
Yeah. I never ran out.
Yeah, I ran out of ammo once, and
like I got to a point where like certain guns wouldn't have ammo. It's like, okay, I guess I got to use the machine gun now. But like rarely was I like completely hosed. Yeah.
Yeah. So in this game, which is different than the original, they have an impossible mode. I don't know if you guys saw this. This is hard mode, but you get one save, and if you die, that's it.
Oh, it's just like
it's a hardcore mode.
Last of Us 2.
And a lot of people are saying like, if you really want to get scared, if you really want to fear for your life, play with some stakes. Yeah, that is apparently very hard. The hard mode in this game will test your like ammo reserves and stuff like that. It feels much more like a classic Resident Evil.
Yeah, I think I really like this game. My kind of broad is like, this is a freaking great game. It is really heavily Resident Evil 2. Like I know that they're both remakes of older games, but there obviously is so much influence of like just how you go around corners, and then there's like one like zombie or necro guy standing right there.
Even some of the necros are like similar to like the dog zombies type movement.
But I think like the tension, like Resident Evil 2, is like that you check every corner. Like I sent that gift to you guys of like, sneaking out, because I was like, that's all I'll do is like, okay, we're good, we're going to walk down this corner. But what I think is fun about this game opposed to Resident Evil 2 is in Resident Evil 2 you don't really feel powerful. You never feel like, but there is a point where you get in this game where like you become like, you start to feel pretty powerful. And the game like even knows that. Like, I guess the flamethrower, I didn't even use that, but like you can eventually, like, you understand that you can take these things to the wall and like throw them at people and stick them to the floor. Like you can like spear people, and like you can just start finding all these little things. I texted Ted because that freaking nuclear silo room, I'm not spoilers, but I was like, this part sucks ass. How do I kill this one exploding zombie? And it's like, oh, I can like stick him to the ground. I don't have to worry about him anymore.
Yeah.
Okay, well there you go. I guess that works.
Yeah. And to go off of this like masterclass of a haunted house, it does this like ebb and flow of like, I'm a badass. Here are all my like my tools, weapons, mining tools from hell, and then oh my god, there's one behind me, and like I'm dying. Holy shit! So like the like jump scare to like power trip flows really well. Mm-hmm. It flowed really well in the original game. I think they did a great job kind of recapturing it here.
Yeah, and having it just feel very modern and still big, and like you said, they've added a lot of stuff. So
yeah, and I also will shout out like the setting, the atmosphere, this mining ship that you're on is like fantastic. Yes. Like if you were a fan of sci-fi, especially like maybe a Star Wars or like an Alien, this grunge blue collar sci-fi where everything's dirty.
You're saying Alien is perfect. Like it's video game's answer to the movie Alien. It's like absolutely what this is.
We're Aliens, like this is a ship full of blue collar miners who live with their significant others in the ship's quarters, and they go to work in the ship's mining deck. And like if you want to live in that kind of a world, and like obviously it's like horror mode, but like it is just fantastic. The audio logs of people like realizing that there's a zombie epidemic and like panicking is just prime kind of horror movie.
Yeah.
Just great.
Like,
I love candy.
You'll come into like a bathroom or something, and you'll see there's like blood written on the walls, and just says like "we were wrong" or something, or like like apostate. And you're like, what the fuck is happening here? Like this is
the setting with which this takes place in is absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, I would agree. I think that's by far its strongest point.
Mm-hmm. And again, all of your weapons, with the exception of the plasma rifle, are all just mining tools.
Yeah, they're all just worker tools.
Yeah, like you get like a nail gun and like a buzz saw and just things that like you wouldn't think of as tools, and just find creative ways to slice up zombies.
The buzz saw is absolutely awesome. That thing is great.
Oh, did you like the buzzsaw? Okay.
Oh, using the buzzsaw all the time.
Okay, that's a good one.
Pinning up a guy against the wall and just keep buzzing.
So for me, it's flamethrower or buzzsaw. That's basically either or. Because the buzzsaw, I don't know how it worked in the old game, Ted. I guess you can explain it. Like where you just shoot. You can either shoot the saw and it'll just like go all over the room. So that sucks. Or you shoot it and it'll stay there for like forever, and you just like.
It just
grind up
spinning in front of you, and you can just kind of like
is that how it worked in the old? Okay. That's a great.
It was awesome.
Yeah,
really unique kind of weapon. Yeah, the style of it is really unique, and really, I don't think there's other games like it. Like, it's got like BioShock is one that comes to mind of like the pacing of it, of like you're just trying to make it to the next saved room.
Yeah, and BioShock is a good example of kind of like a world that is well lived in.
Yeah.
That just went bad moments before you arrived.
Mm-hmm.
And they do a lot to change that in the remake, which I really appreciate. Kind of towards the end of the game, so I won't spoil anything. Because in the first game, it kind of just felt like you just missed every single encounter that happened, and you were hearing audio logs. And here, it's like you were getting there right at the end. But
froze again.
Damn. Well, this is perfect time for me to move in here.
Yeah, please, James, talk about this game. Ted's kind of cannibalizing this conversation.
I want to talk about the team behind it. Motive. It's EA's Motive team, and they knocked it out of the park. I feel for PC. I haven't had any issues, and it's flawless. It works great.
Yeah.
But also the team recently, I guess, off topic, but that team, because they did so well with this game, they've been given like an Iron Man game for Marvel. So I'm excited, because if it's anything like this game,
so does that mean no Dead Space 2 remake?
My guess is you'll get a Dead Space 2 remake if this does.
Have to with how well this did.
So James, apparently, and Ted, you can kind of guide me in the right direction, because from what I've heard, the zero gravity sections of this game, which are fucking awesome.
Yes.
They work differently than they used to in the old Dead Space games, correct?
So there are two kind of gameplay elements that are different. The first one, there was turret section in the first game. We don't have to get into it, but they removed that turret section. It's gone, and they just made it kind of this new level to play, which is very fun.
Okay.
The other thing is the gravity system is different. It is now like Dead Space 2, where in the zero gravity areas, you just press the L and R bumpers together, and then you lift off into zero gravity and can kind of pilot kind of like a little spaceship.
Yeah.
I actually miss the old way, but I totally understand why they changed it. The old way, you just had to point, and then I think if you press the Y button on Xbox, you would just jump and like free float through space to wherever you needed to go.
Oh, interesting.
Not very fun gameplay wise, but just it felt like you had to take like a risk, like jumping.
Yeah.
Was like, this is it. I just have to do this.
Let's see what
happens. It kind of felt scarier in a sense. But instead they made this maneuverable zero gravity where you kind of have like little jetpack thruster.
Oh, he's gone again. But James, my point of this was that makes me very confident for this Iron Man game.
Yeah, because that worked really well, and so I think perfect studio to do this. And great job.
Yeah,
and I'm liking more of these game kinds. So we have EA. And then we have PlayStation as well, like doing these ports.
Mm-hmm.
And they just keep getting better and better. And I just hope one day we get more competency from other studios like Nintendo to do something like
to make stuff
like this one day. But I hope more. I think we talked about like we've drilled into remakes and remasters so many times, and you can't go wrong with doing a remake of your IP unless you do it bad.
But like a really great like this remake, this style of remake.
But you give it to a competent studio who is familiar with doing remakes or remasters, and why wouldn't you? Yeah. Why wouldn't you have your IP like Dead Space is now boom back on the map again? Like now people want more Dead Space.
Yeah, like they can make another Dead Space.
Yeah, I think they really hit it out of the park. I really like the new one.
You expose it to people who've never played it before, like Jake and I, and like now because I didn't feel any inclination to go play the original, and I know Jake, I think you played like
probably like 2 hours. And I was like,
yeah, exactly. So
I will say this game, the darkness factor, that like the HDR, the new lighting, it almost makes it like a much harder game to play. So I will say that if you're looking for this experience but like not quite as scary, the original Dead Space might be a better option. That being said, this game does have gore and like trauma filters. So there are an extensive list of accessibility options if you're looking for this game without the blood, the guts, the carnage, the trauma, because there is a lot of it. Get ready to feel very oppressed.
Yes.
So you played Series X and Jake played PS5, and I played PC, but with a PS5 controller.
Okay.
Was there any haptics on PS5 though?
Like, a little bit. Yeah. You know what? I wouldn't say like to where I was like blown away by it and noticed it a lot, but like the certain cutscenes really used it. Like when you took off in a ship or something, like that really felt like not just normal like rumble.
Gotcha.
Every so often there would be something like on top of the ceiling and stuff, but it wasn't like you were feeling every footstep or anything like some games have done.
Yeah.
Pretty standard.
To me, it felt normal. I was just wondering if it was like a little
different. No.
Yeah. Okay.
One thing I really do like about this game, and I know they kept this from the original, is there's no HUD at all.
Yes.
I like that.
I love that your health bar is in the back of your your suit, and that's showing the different like hash marks. And when you improve your suit, it adds hash marks, which I thought was like super freaking cool. And then all the ammo is on your display thing. I thought that was really fun.
Yeah, all the ammo is displayed on your gun. Any kind of like character menu appears in front of your character as if he's the one, as if there's like a projection from his helmet.
Yeah, and it's all live too.
Very good.
Your menus are all live, so you can get attacked and stuff by zombies when you're menu, which I really appreciate.
Get the pause.
Yep.
And to this day stands like the test of time of like that's still a really cool and novel idea.
Yeah.
Like with the exception of like the start menu or like pausing or quitting, you never go into a menu. It's all done in game, which is fascinating and really cool.
It's really cool, yeah. The map is pretty easy to read too. I guess from what I understand, the old map in Dead Space was a little complex to read and convoluted. It was like 3D rather than just 2D overlays.
Yeah. It was like speaking of Metroid Prime Remake, it was like that 3D menu where you had to, maneuver it to find. Yeah. But no, they've made it much easier.
Yeah.
Would you think of the like path system, like the pathing, like to find out your waypoint?
Yeah, like your directional thing that you shoot.
I love it. If I could put that into every single game I ever played, I would do it. Just because you just press in on the right stick, and your character just kind of shows you a little like GPS line of where you need to go.
Yeah.
It doesn't get in the way, and it tells you exactly what you need to know. It's great.
But it doesn't work too well in Zero Gravity. That was the only issue I had. Like sometimes you would do it, and your camera would just snap, and you're like, "Wait, the line's that way. I need to turn around." And But other than that, like everything was great with it.
I do love that, and I like that. Like you can't really do it in combat, so like good luck. Like it's like one of those things. Like if you start to do it, you're gonna get attacked.
You get animation lock in it. That's why I was like, you can't just do it while you're running away because you're gonna stop and have to do it. I love that.
Yeah, there's like a few late game encounters that have like a ton of doors that you're trying to like basically run away from stuff in, and I couldn't figure out which door I needed to go into, so I had to like really study the map of like, okay, I go down this hallway to this hallway to this hallway, and then I take a left. Okay. Because you're so used to just
exact same thing. Yep.
Yeah. I think it's great. I think it's got a great blend of like that horror element, but it's never too like over the top scary. I think like it balances that out. I think unlike it doesn't do the Resident Evil thing, which I thought it was going to do, where like you don't have someone chasing you the whole time.
Yeah.
I was really expecting like a Mr. X kind of thing, and they introduced that a little bit, but it doesn't stay around.
Yeah, just a little bit, with the hunter.
The hunter.
Yeah. Yeah, if you had told me they were making a Dead Space remake before it came out, other than thinking it would be the exact same game, I thought that they might push much more in kind of just like it's an open world in that like you can go anywhere on the ship.
Yeah.
And there's going to be a very large big baddie chasing you, and you kind of just have to avoid him the whole time. But I also think that like if you call this game a survival action game, they still leaned into that action as opposed to like straight up survival, and I think that's to its credit. This game is a pretty concise 12 chapters, 12 hours.
Mm-hmm.
I took an extra hour because I was backtracking, but like
for the guns.
For the guns. That's the game. Like if you're fast, you can beat it in 10. If you're slow, you'll beat it in 13. But like it is a quick and well delivered package, which nowadays is something I really can appreciate.
Totally, absolutely, it's the perfect length. It didn't. You know what's great is like when a game you're done by the time you finish it, but it didn't overstay its welcome. Like at the end of Dead Space, when I hit that last chapter, I was like, I'm glad this is ending.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't need to do more of this. I will say my one complaint, though, is like the last 3 chapters of this game, it's a lot of like monster closet shit. Where like you walk into a room and then it goes into quarantine and it's like quarantine, and then like sends a bunch of zombies or monsters at you, and you're like, all right, this is not like really sad or horror.
Yeah, we'll stay brief here, but what was your guys' end game weapon selection? How'd you deal with the monster closets?
Plasma cutter, buzzsaw. Mm-hmm. I liked the machine gun because I liked that I could lay the traps down, the little like blow it up traps, and then I switched between
like mines,
the contact beam, and the force gun.
Force gun was great. Yeah.
Force gun
flamethrower
like
for
crazy.
me. Flamethrower with flamethrower walls, and then you just don't have to worry about one area. So
you guys.
Oh, but
I didn't use
since you didn't use the flamethrower. Flamethrower has like 2 modes where it's just a regular flamethrower, but then you can also just lay down a wall and cut off an entire area, and they just burn up and they can't get to you.
Oh, that's pretty sick. Actually,
it's great. It's
amazing.
I figured out how to cheese it. The force gun alternative has that. The force gun's alternative weapon has it like sticks everybody together.
Yeah.
So you just stick everybody together. You throw down a line gun trap, which is just that laser beam that like slices things in half, and then you just flame a group of like 6 enemies who are all stuck together.
That's great.
That's smart. I didn't think about
real menace at the end.
One of the things
like they were stuck in a room with me.
I really appreciate too about how they designed this game is that there are 7 or 8, 6, 7 weapons or something, so you can't hold all the weapons at a time.
Exactly.
And you can put them in storage and stuff. And if you put a gun into storage, you don't get ammo for that gun.
No, for that gun, yep.
And I really appreciated that because that's something I hate, in Resident Evil. And I know it's a part of it. It's this survival horror thing, but like you go into a chest, you have 2 inventory slots, and you pick up like 2 shotgun shells, and you're like, "Fuck, I don't need these, but like I might need them later." I'm glad that in this version of like with Dead Space, I didn't have to think about that kind of stuff. It was really propelling me forward rather than like making me go, fuck, let me go run back there and do this. Like, it always propels.
Yeah, it's
forward.
It's a very streamlined Resident Evil horror action experience.
Yeah.
If you played kind of those older Resident Evils style games, it feels like they played those and then kind of wrote down what they didn't like and then went to the drawing board of like what Dead Space is, which is really cool.
That's why I'm fascinated by the Resident Evil 4 remake coming out because James, we've both loved mainly 2, but we liked 3 remake. Like 2 is much more you're in like a isolated house and you're running from room to room trying to figure out the puzzle of the house. Where like I feel like Dead Space, you are being propelled forward, and apparently that's what Resident Evil 4 is like. Is like it's a story propulsion game rather than like figure out the mystery house, and I like that.
And we both haven't played Resident Evil 4.
No,
right? And Ted, have you played?
I have not. No.
Okay, yeah, so it's gonna be us experience for the first time, which we know is gonna be completely different.
I can't wait.
But
yeah,
3 felt like more like extension of 2, and in fact it probably could have just been an extension of 2, and it wasn't as good as 2. But definitely looking forward to 4, as 4 is probably more closer to 8, and I'll have elements of 8 as well. So
but it's third person.
I know. So
yeah,
it's gonna be good.
Very good. Ted, you
8 is third person.
I know. I guess I could play 8 in third person now, huh?
Yeah.
Ooh, I might try to do that. Okay.
Yeah.
Play it in VR.
Fuck
Spooky
that.
Pants.
No way. Just take a giant shit on my new couch. Ted, what are your final thoughts on Dead Space? Little nugget of info at the end.
I've kind of said my piece. I really like it. I think it's a great start for 2023. A great love letter to original Dead Space and kind of an invitation to anybody who's looking to check out this franchise.
Yeah.
Definitely worth it. I'm sure in 6 to 9 months it'll be on EA Play and absolutely worth the playthrough.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Fantastic remake.
Yeah. Recommend it?
Oh yeah, 100%. Well worth the money too. It's even though it's $60, but in Steam you get both Dead Space and Dead Space 2.
That's
$70.
$70 for us.
Oh, sorry about that. Ooh.
Ooh. It was $60. It was $10 cheaper, and you got a free fucking game with it. It's bullshit.
What a piece of shit.
No, I really recommend it. I think it's a fantastic game. I think it's a very good balance of like what it's trying to achieve. I think it nails it at all times. Rarely was I frustrated or bored with it. I just think it's a great game. Yeah.
I guess I will have one more final thought. I won't spoil it, but like the story in this world really starts to propel itself in the last act. It again won't get into it. It has a lot to do with that unitology stuff with a secret item found on a planet. Some spooky stuff happens. Some people get betrayed. And I was explaining all of this to my roommate while he was drinking his morning coffee, and him and I were talking about like what this is, what it could be. We were theory crafting. Just totally forgot it was a horror game. And then I walked into a door and just got jump scared, and he spilled his coffee all over himself.
Nice.
And it was absolutely hilarious. It was just the most like, oh yeah, this is Dead Space. I forgot.
This is a spooky little game.
This is a spooky game.
Beautiful.
Yeah. There was one elevator where you open the elevator and there's like a monster in the elevator, and that's not happened in like 8 hours of gameplay. And I opened an elevator, there's some motherfucker in the elevator, and I screamed. It's the only time I screamed in the whole game. But I was like, every elevator never had a guy in it. Now there's a freaking guy in this elevator. This elevator is the one you choose. That's bullshit. That's rude.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much for watching the 122nd episode of the Side Escape Gaming Podcast. We will see you next week.